Hi, in this video I'll be talking about typography, the basics of type usage. Under this, we'll be looking at the introduction, that is what typography entails. Why do we need the knowledge of typography in graphic design? Then we'll look at typographic categories, under which we have serifs and sans serifs. We have display type and text type and other type categories. Then we also look at using case, the anatomy of type, caning, tracking and leading, alignment, indent and outdent, legibility and readability, factors affecting legibility and readability, and lastly tips on getting the best out of typography. Type usage is one of the keys to a good graphic design, which demands a lot of attention from a prospective professional graphic designer. Type can help you create a good first impression about your message to viewers and compel them to reading through all of the content of your design. Type could look masculine or feminine, calm or chaotic, friendly or aggressive, traditional or modern, strong or weak. As a professional graphic designer, you use the type that best express your message. Typographic categories: serif and sans serif. Serifs are the type with little extender called little feet. The following are a small group of the countless number of serif fonts. In the next slide, you are going to see the examples of serif fonts. Then, what we have here below this is an example. There you can see the highlighted part. Those are the little feet. So they are called serif. Now these are examples of serif fonts. We have Baskerville, we have Georgia, we have Century, we have Korea, Garamond, and so on. All of these are serif types. And you can notice the little feet on all the fonts. So that's why they are called serif fonts. The sans serif is just like opposite of serif. Serif means little feet, while sans serif is without little feet. So sans serif are the types without little feet. Then the next slide now, you are going to see the examples of sans serif. Then here is a sans serif type. You can see there is no little feet here. So that's what made them sans serif. You should also note that sans serif are not as legible as serif fonts, and that's according to research. So ideally, when you are typing, particularly body of content, you use serif font. So these are examples of sans serif. You have Franklin, Gothic, Futura, Gibson, Myriad, Garamond, and others. Now display type and text type. Text types are the types that are designed to be read in large quantity at small sizes. Examples of text type is the bulk of text in newspapers, magazines, books. They are also called body type or body copy. The size of text type is usually between 8 pt, 10 pt, and 12 pt, depending on the typeface. That says depending on the font you are using, because the fonts originally are not of the same sizes. Text typefaces have common characteristics such as open space inside the letters. The body height of the letter is tall compared to the capitals. They have rhythmic and repetitive shape, and they are medium weight. The letters in text typefaces are easily identified. You can see this part which says letter is tall, that is the height of the letter is tall compared to the capitals. You can't compare the size of the body letters of a text type to the first letter. So that's what makes it more legible and readable, unlike display type. So you use these in body content. So that's what made them text type. Now, display types. Display types are the types designed to be read in small quantity at large sizes. They depend on their unique form to announce and amplify their content. There is perhaps a display typeface for every possible use. Text type can function as display type by being made larger, but display type can rarely be used as text type. Of course, you can increase the size of text type and use them as display type, but display type naturally cannot be used as text type. And most design you see in banner, the theme of most designs in banners are display type. The way in newspaper, magazines, storybooks, mostly the body contents are text type. So you should be able to differentiate between display type and text type. It's going to be a big taboo when you use a display type as text type. Then again, you can use text type as display type, but display type shouldn't be used as text type. Now, other type categories. We have script. Of course, this is one of the most common types. They are very popular and easy to identify. Scripts are letter forms that are based on handwritten letters, mostly attached together by connecting strokes. And we call these strokes ligature. You're going to see this in the anatomy of types. The example of script type includes Edwardian script, Snell round hand, Dorchester script, Beecham script. We have a lot of script fonts. Informal script can look like handwritten or brush-written letters. Examples are Catfish script, Lucida handwritten, and Dakota, and so on. Now, this is an example of script font here, Edwardian script. And you can see script fonts are known for their curly nature, so they are easily identified. The other type is black letter or fracture. They are fractured or broken letters because each letter is made up of individual strokes. They are very heavy and small space between letters and very tight space between lines. Examples are William Klingspor Bottish, Beaten Badger fracture, Fetty fracture. So these are an example of fracture here. You can see very bold. Of course, it is kind of curly like script, but is more bold compared to script. So that's what differentiates it between script font. And of course, script font is more curly than this. So let's move on. Now, these websites are recommended websites to download typefaces where you can download fonts. Like that font.com here can help you to download any font you want. Just search the name of the font and you're going to have the font available for download. Then we have whatfontis.com. This font helps you to identify the name of a font. If, for instance, you are given a design to do to replicate exactly the same font you use in that design, then maybe you don't know the name of the font you use, then you can use whatfontis.com. All you just need is to send the picture of the font to the website. So you upload it on the website and it's going to recommend, it's going to give you possible font names. It might not be the exact font, but of course it's going to give you close fonts to the ones you upload. So that font.com and whatfontis.com. Now, font installation. After downloading fonts on your system, of course you need to install them before you can have them available on your graphical programs like CorelDRAW, Illustrator, Photoshop. So quickly, I'm going to demonstrate how to install fonts here. I have some fonts downloaded already. So here on my desktop, I have a folder, font. Okay, so let's assume I've downloaded all of these, probably in thatfonts.com. Then you want to install them. Of course, you have to install this folder by folder. Let's pick it from the first folder here. Just click to open it. Then you can just select all with Ctrl A to select all the fonts. You can simply right click and select install. Now I have all these fonts installed already on my system. That's why you can see this popping up that this particular font is already installed. Do you want to replace it? So I'm going to cancel this. So that's how you So that's a simple way to install your font. Alright, so let's move on. Now, using cases. Cases talk about the different style, the difference between uppercase and lowercase. Each conveys different message and is used in different contexts. Now, uppercase, they are capitals, which are originally called majuscules, meaning majestic. Uppercase have stronger presence on the page or screen. Uppercase conveys sense of trustworthiness and authority, and of course emphasis. They generally have more visual weight and command more attention. They are better when the text are not too close to one another. So that's why you see in most designs, when you want to kind of make something more prominent or give it more emphasis, so you want to give authority of the message you are passing, then you use uppercase. Now lowercase are small letters originally known as minuscule. They tend to be friendlier, warmer, more personal, and more informal than capital letters. Unlike capital letters, they look better when they are designed to work in close contact and interconnected. They are used to pass low-key messages, while uppercase, with its strong presence, places emphasis on the message it conveys. Title case, as the name implies, is often used for titles. It is a type of case between uppercase and lowercase. The first letter of each word in the title case is capital, while other small letters. But there are some exceptions, like the preposition of, for, etc. And that's why most applications is going to change the O that begins of to small letter and F that begins for to small letter as well, if you are using title case. Because grammatically, the prepositions don't take capital initials. Now let's move on to the anatomy of type. There are different parts and shapes that make a type. Now let's try to view them. Now we have a lot of them here, and this is a serif font, of course. All these text here are serif text, and because serif tends to have more details, unlike sans serif. You can see we have the descender line, we have the ascender line. We have the body weight, we have the X height, we have the baseline, we have stem, bow, serif, stem, arm, ear, spine, shoulder, foot, leg, crossbar, tail, cross strokes, ear, counterpiece, paw, jaws, terminal, and so on. So this is the anatomy of type. All these are what make up type. Also other terms. Let's look at other terms of typography. We have ligature. Yes, I made mention of this earlier. The ligature is the lines that connect to text. It's called ligature. Then we have single story and double story. You can see that small a and the small g. The first one is single story, while the other one is double story. I must have been saying this in designs. Now let's move on to kerning, tracking, and leading. Kerning is the adjustment between two specific letters. That's kerning. Two letters specifically. The while tracking is the adjustment of the spaces between grouped letters. That's between a group of letters. It is an overall adjustment of space applied equally to a word, a line, or a passage of text. And leading, on the other hand, is the space between lines measured from baseline to baseline. So it's more like the line spacing. So that's leading. Then alignment. There are basically 5 ways of positioning text on a page: left, right, justified, centered, random, or asymmetrical. Most books, magazines, and newspapers use justified. Random or asymmetrical is a free way of positioning text. It is jumping between other types of alignment to create dramatic effect. It is not an ideal alignment for a lengthy reading, and that's why in most newspapers you are going to see justified alignment, because it is the most ideal for a lengthy reading. most newspaper, novels, you see justified. And maybe after justified, you can see left alignment. You will rarely see random or asymmetrical because this is just used to, to create dramatic effect. Now, this is left and right alignment. You can see the left alignment implies that the line of the text begins from the left to the right, while right alignment means from the right to the left. Then this is justify. Justify is just left and right combined. Then we have random or asymmetrical. This is just a random way of using the other types of alignment to create dramatic effect. You can just use this to show your creativity. And that's why I said graphic design is all about creativity. You allow yourself the freedom of being creative. Now let's look at indent and outdent. Indent, it is the space at the beginning of a new paragraph. It is an indicator to a new paragraph. I know most people are having misconception of this indent and paragraph. So they refer to indent as paragraph, which is wrong. Indent is the space that indicates the beginning of a paragraph. You also have outdent. Outdent also indicates beginning of a paragraph. But unlike indent that creates a space, outdent extends beyond other lines of text. Okay, now there is indent and this is outdent. You can see indent, you can see the space here. So that's indent, of course, and this extender here is the outdent. Legibility and readability. Legibility measures how easy or difficult it is to see the differences between one letter of a typeface and another. So which means legibility is it measures your ability to differentiate between letters of the same typeface or font. Now serif typefaces are more legible than sans serif typefaces because of the details provided by the serif. So that's made them more identifiable than sans serif because the serif tends to give more details to the text. The readability, on the other hand, measures how much the reader wants to read the text. That is how much appetizing the text is. Readability is about how appealing is the text to the reader. Text can be legible but not appealing to the readers. And of course, factors like color, size, spacing, font, alignment enhance readability. So you have to use all of these harmoniously to ensure readability. Color, size, spacing, font, alignment. Factors affecting legibility and readability. We have font, that is typeface. Fonts with large counter space are more legible. Yes. This makes them more legible in the sense that even seeing them from afar, you know that, oh, this letter is this, this is this. Imagine letter G, for instance, that has a very tiny counter space. Such letter is not going to be visible from very long distance. When it's large enough, then you can see from very long distance. So that makes them more legible. So you try to opt for the letters with larger counter space most of the time to ensure readability and legibility. Every font are not legible enough and are therefore not recommended for lengthy reading. Of course, this is more like opposite of the first point here. You may have most heavy fonts tend to have tiny counter spaces. So you avoid these if you want to make your text more legible and readable. Then we have leading, the spaces between lines. Two more spaces between lines of text impair legibility. Then, and of course, readability. When there are two more spaces between lines, then the readers tend to lose appetite of reading. Then we have the next one, which says that 52 to 70 characters per line is advisable. So don't make your line of text too bulky. Don't use 100 characters, 200 characters. You have to avoid the situation whereby readers are reading a particular line for a very long time, and that gets tiring. So now continue. So factors affecting legibility and readability continue. So you have size. The good sizes for text type generally range between 8 to 10 pt or 12 pt at max, depending on the typeface, intended audience, and the content. Now I do say this that when you are preparing a design for the aged people, then you should know that you should use larger size, because the older they are, then the more they lose their sight. So you have to factor that in your design. You can't compare the sight of an 80-year-old man to that of 15-year-old or 18-year-old. So you have to factor this in. Then high contrast. Light or white type are not good on a black or dark background for a lengthy reading, because it creates a distorted slight sparkling effect. However, the color of the background and the text should have a strong contrast to enhance readability. Black letters on a white background have the most contrast and are therefore the very best for easy and lengthy reading. I've seen so many situations where the designers opt for a very heavy background and with light type on the background for a lengthy reading. It's very wrong. So you have to avoid that. The best is just white background, then black type on the white background. It might not necessarily be white or black. It can just be light color, then another heavy color. If you look at this is an example of a bad contrast. Of course, this is a heavy background and we have a light type on it. This is wrong. By the time you read this for about 3 to 5 minutes, then you start feeling the discomfort in your sight. So this is not advisable for lengthy reading. Now, tips on getting the best out of typography. So let's just look at these basic guides that can help you to get the best out of typography. There are a couple of common errors of typography committed by most amateur graphic designers we need to take cognizance of. So let's observe them one after the other. Stretching or squashing of text. This alters the original proportion of the text and distorts them. The relationship between the vertical strokes and the horizontal strokes is compromised by the slightest change in its proportion, that is, in its original proportion. Instead of stretching type, you can opt for a better type that suits the proportion you want. So if you look at this example below here, this text has been stretched. So this is wrong. It impairs the legibility of the text. So you try to avoid this as much as you can. Instead of doing this, then you should opt for another type that best suits the proportion you want. Then another one is inadequate use of negative space. There should be enough white or negative space around the text. If you look at this, the text here almost blazes out of the background. This is wrong. You try to have enough space, create enough space for your text. So this is wrong. You try as much as you can to avoid this in your design. Poor usage of colors. Sorry, there's a kind of tautology here. Poor usage of color. So use combination of colors with good contrast for the text and the background. Look at this example given. Each of these texts has a very bad color relative to the background. So you don't do this. You don't do this. So this is wrong. And imagine the situation whereby the readers have to read this for a very long time. Of course, this is not appealing. It's not readable at all. So you try to avoid this. Just imagine you have a white background and a black content on it, or you have a light yellow and a black type on it. So there are a lot of factors here. After doing this, creating the background for your text, you should try to observe this yourself. Is it appealing, and can this be seen from a very long distance. So these are all you need to factor in your design. Then you should remember, rules are meant to be broken. Only if breaking them can produce better and successful results. So you shouldn't just blindly stick to all these guides I've given you so far, because graphic design is all about creativity. So just allow yourself the freedom to play around your creative world. Remember, it's graphic design, so it's creativity.